As we prepare for our celebration of Christmas, or the Lord's Advent, or coming into the world, we have an opportunity to turn to the prophecy of Isaiah, which was written hundreds of years before the Lord came, and to read about a time when the people of Israel were struggling with serious problems. They had turned away from the Lord. They had forgotten to keep His word, His commandments. And so the Lord had allowed them to suffer the consequences of their bad behavior, and they were struggling. Have any of you ever had times when you feel like you were really struggling, when things weren't going very well for you? Sometimes when it just seemed like problems keep coming up, one after another? Well, this is the story of the children of Israel at this time. And so we read this in chapter 9 of Isaiah. Nevertheless, in spite of all that, nevertheless, the gloom will not be upon her who is distressed, as when at first He, that is the Lord, lightly esteemed the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterwards more heavily oppressed her by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, in Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, upon them a light has shined. You have multiplied the nation and increased its joy. They rejoice before you according to the joy of harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil, that is, after they win a victory in battle. For you have broken the yoke of the burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every warrior's sandal from the noisy battle and garments rolled in blood will be used for burning and fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder. And his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, God, the Mighty One, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there will be no end upon the throne of David and over his kingdom, to order it and establish it with judgment and justice from that time forth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Amen. So here's a prophecy of good things to come. And it was given at a time when not much good was going on. People were struggling. People were hurting. People were suffering because of the fact that they had kind of turned away from the Lord. And yet the Lord said, look, I am always here. I am with you. I will return I will return you to a state of blessing. All you have to do is just cooperate. All you have to do is just pay attention to the things I teach you, and things will go better. So again, I'm sure everyone in the room has had times when we felt very discouraged, when things were not looking very good. And so I brought an example, some illustrations to kind of show you about what this is about. First of all, I noticed when I came in this morning that there were a lot of palm branches on the ground. And these are kind of dead palm branches, aren't they? This was just a little one, but there's some really big ones out there in the yard. Maybe somebody will want to go and clean them up. But they look nice, they're interesting, and they're a good reminder of the fact that seasons change. Seasons come and go. Sometimes we have discouragement like this. And we think, well, that's sad. Silly old dead leaf. Who cares? But if it weren't for this leaf finishing its time and dying off, new leaves would not be able to grow. You notice how the palm trees get taller and taller and taller? Yeah, they do. And because the old leaves die off and then new leaves grow a little bit higher, And so when this dies, we get this. Just a new baby leaf, just getting started. And this leaf can grow and be bigger and bigger and help the plant survive the seasons and thrive and be well, be good. Another example. You look outside in the parking lot, as I did this morning, and you see all kinds of dead leaves. Dead leaves in the parking lot. What good are these dead leaves? You could get discouraged and you say, dead leaves? What good is that? But these leaves they're finished. They're finished their usefulness. And so they fall to the ground, and then, if they're gathered up or swept into the bushes, they decompose, and they make soil for the next plants that come up and grow and thrive. So this just is an illustration of the cycles of nature. Sometimes we have discouraging times. Sometimes it just rains and rains. Down here sometimes you get hurricanes and you think, wow, the world's coming to an end. No, it's not really. It's just going through another stage. And we have to accept that there are different stages of life that are all useful in their way. And among other things, they help us to appreciate the new leaves that grow on the trees and make the trees thrive and prosper. So in our lives, it's the same sort of thing. We go through phases, we go through stages, we go through states. Sometimes we get discouraged, but it's very important that we remember the Lord is always with us, and He's always thinking about the next thing. He's always preparing us for the next good thing. And if we can keep that in mind, then the sadness of the problems we have is not so great. We can look ahead to think, no, it's not going to last forever. Things will get better. So we go back to the very beginning of the Word in the story of Genesis. And we read at the end of the flood, the great flood, where Noah and all the animals had to go into a big boat to be saved from the flood. At the end of that flood, the Lord sent a rainbow and a promise. And He said, look, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest and cold and heat and summer and winter and day and night shall not cease. We have to go through different stages. Some things are good, some things are bad. The bad things help us learn, and they prepare us for the good things that the Lord has in mind for us. So just remember, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how serious your problems are, the Lord is still thinking about you. The Lord still loves you. The Lord is preparing for the next good thing. And if you just pay attention and watch for that good thing, you might be surprised to find that it really is outstanding and gives you a sense of real blessing in spite of all the bad things you had to do in the process to get there. So this is our lesson for today, and really it's all about Christmas, because Christmas is about the time when the Lord came into the world to provide for us the things that we need to know and the example that we needed to live that good life and receive the blessings that He's always trying to provide for us. So that's our first lesson for the children today.